Welcome to Break the Board Sports. It's your host, RJ Cash, going over NFL best bet teaser options. Check out our shorts, click that like, hit subscribe. Got a bunch of content up for you on the channel. We give out 2 to 3 shorts each and every day. Obviously, tomorrow is the NFL, got some big stuff brewing, and obviously, teasers are a big advantage in the NFL. Really hard to make them fit in college or even like NBA, college hoops. I don't really venture with them a lot. I know a lot of people are turned off by juice of teasers, but look, there's value. I know a lot of people, hey, 6-point teasers like $1.30. You can actually find 7-point teasers anywhere from $1.30 to $1.45, and I think those are great. The sixes, they're okay, but the 7-pointer, you get that extra point, and obviously getting through more key numbers. We're also going to touch on 3-team 10-point super teasers. Again, those are anywhere minus $1.30 to a minus $1.40, depending on where you shop for your shoes. So before we get started, biggest rules with teasers, right? There's only one main rule I have, and it's if the line is -2 for a favorite, I never take it past 0 if they're more than -2, right? There's only one time I've ever did that. This week's going to be the second time. I'll get into that reasoning why. But going through 0 to go the other side, you're much better off taking the dog a lot of those times. Another thing is when you have your teaser combinations, you really got to keep track. You don't want to keep using one team that ends up, if they lose, you lose all 5 or 6 of your teasers, right? So you got to spread around the love. Yes, you have your main one that you love, but again, we saw with the Packers Browns last week in that debacle, or even the Rams game, right? Things happen in football. Crazy stuff happens. NFL football always comes down to the last 2 minutes, and that's why I understand people's fear of juice, but also getting plus points in the NFL is a commodity. Again, look at the NFL Red Zone. They do the witching hour for a reason. So again, click that like, hit subscribe. Let's first touch on 3-team 10-point super teasers and some of the options we have here in week 4 of the NFL. The very first one obviously makes a ton of sense is the Detroit Lions. Now, from a betting splits perspective, they're getting 67% of tickets, 62% of the handle, compared to the Brownies of Cleveland, 33% tickets, and 38% of the handle. Why do I like the Browns? Well, it's very simple, or why do I like the Lions? It's very simple. Browns got very lucky against Packers last week. I know the Browns got the best defense in the NFL, but look, you're putting Detroit on turf. Also, Detroit showed me a lot in that Baltimore game. I had them in a teaser plus 11.5. I had them in a 10-pointer plus 14.5. I also had them straight plus 4.5. I absolutely love the Detroit Lions. Everybody was all over the Ravens. The Lions are getting their footing. Would I lay 10? Absolutely not. I'm not a guy that's going to lay double digits in the NFL, but I love Detroit at a pick'em. So if I'm building my 3-team 10-point teaser, the first place I'm going is the Detroit Lions. Again, if you do multiple, you really want to keep it between like 2. Is that all you put one team in, or you're going to get burned? But I do love the Lions. Another one, Monday Night Football, the Cincinnati Bengals. First of all, you can look on our best bet show that we have, and I'll talk about this game a little bit more with betting trends and angles. But when I look at the Cincinnati Bengals getting less than 40% of tickets and handle, I love when a team's getting less than 40%. My eyes go right to them when I look at that, because I would much rather be on the side of the house than on the side of the public. Here's the other thing. I understand the game's Monday night. I understand Cincinnati's got a backup quarterback. I understand Cincinnati ran into a buzzsaw last week against Minnesota. But again, I'll preach this and preach this. You'll hear me preach it. You have to let go of what happened last week. You can't let what happened last week in the NFL affect your handicapping for this week, because the NFL changes so much from week to week. It really is a wild and crazy game. So you got to get rid of that. Now, if I got Cincinnati in a 10-pointer plus 17.5, if I already am like, plus 7.5 is good, plus 17.5 is absolutely phenomenal. Now, the Lions, going back to them, I wouldn't put them in a 7-pointer, because that's going to only put the line down to -3. Well, the problem with -3 is some places a tie's push, other places a tie's lose. So I don't even want to fool with that. I'm not here to kiss my sister. I'm here to win bets. So again, that 3, I would let that go as to where with the Cincinnati Bengals, they're live for a 10-pointer at plus 17.5 or a 7-pointer at two-team 7-pointer at plus 14.5. So the Lions, 10-pointer, click that off. Bengals, a 10-pointer and a 7-pointer, good to go. Here's another one, and these are kind of even, but it's a typical pros Joes matchup. Packers Cowboys Sunday Night Football. Everybody loves Green Bay, and rightfully so. People think they'll bounce back. Everybody's down on Dallas. Get it all, understand it all, makes a ton of sense. But you're laying 7 on the road in Sunday Night Football. And listen, the Cowboys got to have some kind of motivation here. For them to fall 1-3, they'd be in a lot of trouble. But I think this is a great play for Dallas in a 3-team 10-pointer. You're telling me you're getting the Dallas Cowboys at home, where Dak plays the best is at home, and you're getting Dallas plus 17. Just think about that for a second. All right. So 10-pointers, we got the Lions at pick. They're a great option. The Bengals on Monday Night Football plus 17.5. I think they're a great option. Dallas plus 17. I think that's a great option. Now, let's go to my fourth good option here. Now, this is where, remember I said it's got to be 2, sometimes 2.5 for me to swing past 0. Here's a situation I'll swing past 0 to make a favorite a dog. It's the Atlanta Falcons. Look, I like the Falcons outright this week. The fact that they're laying 1.5 with a 10-pointer, I can get them plus 8.5. 8 is a key number to me, right? I know a lot of people say 3, 6, 7. 4 and 8 have become very important key numbers. If you look at, look, 24 20s, 27 20s, right? If you look at the number 8, 31 23, 28 20, these are all key numbers that mean a ton. So I think that's really, really important when you're going down through this. Again, Falcons in a 10-pointer, I get them plus 8.5. I love that. So we got the Lions pick, Cowboys plus 17, Bengals plus 17.5, Falcons plus 8.5. All great options for a 3-team 10-pointer. Again, that can go anywhere from $1.30 to $1.40. 4 more here for you if you were looking at 3-team 10-point teasers. The Chicago Bears, right? Listen, I think this Bears-Raiders game is an absolute coin flip. And I know Bears are getting a lot of love for what they did to Dallas, hanging a bunch of points on them. And I know how people look at the Raiders, and they're very down on the Raiders right now. So all that makes a ton of sense. However, we're not talking about a coin flip game that's a one possession. At plus 11.5 in a 10-pointer, you're getting through so many key numbers. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. You're even getting through 11. John, 11's not a key number. Absolutely, it's a key number. 31-20, 28-17, 24-13, 21-10. You get through those. So Bears plus 11.5, very, very live. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team. Listen, I'm going to have a play on the Bucs plus 3.5. You're telling me I can get Tampa Bay plus 13.5, a team that is 6-1 straight up against the Philadelphia Eagles over the last 7 meetings. I'll take that all day long. Give me Tampa Bay plus 13.5. Jacksonville Jaguars, another team for a 3-team 10-pointer. Brock Purdy coming back to San Francisco. If you look at Jacksonville, they're getting about 71% of the handle. So a lot of people favoring Jacksonville. But look, I think they can score points, right? Bosa's out for the Niners. The Niners have really did a great job piecing this thing together. But listen, your boy RJ, you're telling me I can get plus 13.5 with a very dynamic offense with Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter, Travis Etienne, Brian Edwards. Like, they got dogs. So Jacksonville plus 13.5, another great value pick for a 3-team 10-point teaser. And the Kansas City Chiefs, I know, stepping in front of Baltimore, especially Baltimore coming off of a loss. Kansas City didn't look all that great, but there's a couple things here. One thing is the betting splits. Everybody and their mother, the Ravens are one of the 4 top most bet games right now as we sit here on Saturday night. The Chiefs only getting 32% of tickets and 24% of the handle. Very low numbers there. Here's another thing. Baltimore at Kansas City. Baltimore in Kansas City versus them is 1-4 ATS their last 5. That's a horrible, horrible against the spread record. But we're not talking about 2.5 now. We're talking about Kansas City plus 12.5. Great value. Also, the Chiefs, what's been their bugaboo? Well, their bugaboo's been that they can't score, right? They can't generate offense. They can't push the ball down the field. They get the right guy at the right time. Xavier Worthy's back this week. The Chiefs, again, I can see it being Ravens if the Ravens blew them out, quote unquote. Your boy RJ can see him going 28-17, 24-13, 31-20. Chiefs still covering that 12.5. So let's recap our best bets for 3-team 10-point teasers. And then I'm going to give you my 3-team 10-point teaser. If I could only play one, what my favorite one is. So here's what we got. NFL Week 4. Again, click that like, hit subscribe. Lions pick in a 3-team 10-pointer is live. Cowboys plus 17, a great pick. Bengals plus 17.5. Falcons plus 8.5. Bears plus 11.5. Bucks plus 13.5. Jaguars plus 13.5. And the Kansas City Chiefs plus 12.5. Those are all great options for a 3-team 10-point teaser. The juice on those around minus 130 to minus 140. So what's my best bet for a 3-team 10-point teaser week 4 of the NFL? You say, well, your boy RJ is going to give it to you. I'm going to go the Detroit Lions at Pick'em for the first slot. The Cincinnati Bengals plus 17.5 for the second slot. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 13.5. I can't resist. You're telling me I get Baker Mayfield, a Philadelphia Eagles team that could very easily be 0-3. Let's be honest. I'm getting the Bucks plus 13.5 at home, a team that has absolutely owned the Philadelphia Eagles. That's my best bet for a 3-team 10-point teaser. Lions pick Bengals plus 17.5 and Bucks plus 13.5. Now, let's shift over. I don't play very many 6-point teasers, like I said, but I'm a huge, huge fan of the 2-team 7-point teasers in the NFL. I know you're laying a little bit more juice, but I don't just want the touchdown. I want the extra point. So here we go. We just talked about Bears plus 1.5. I think Bears plus 8.5. Again, you get them over that one possession. I think that's a very, very key number, very, very key thing that you can get for them right there. Next team on the docket. We just talked about in the 3-team 10-pointer how much we love them. That's right. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 10.5. I love Baker Mayfield this week. I love the Tampa Bay Bucks plus 3.5. Why wouldn't I love them plus 10.5? That's a 2-possession value I get with the Tampa Bay Bucks. LA Chargers. You say, why'd I pause? I paused because all the money's on the Chargers. That line stuck at 6. It hasn't moved. The Giants aren't that good. So I'm going to twist it a little bit. I think Chargers pick is a good option, but I can't believe I'm saying this. I think Giants plus 13 is a great option, right? So a couple different ways you can play that game. The New England Patriots. Here's another good one. I like the Patriots here. I know the Panthers put up a bunch of points last week, but again, NFL, you got to have short-term memory loss. You can't focus on what happened last week. This Carolina team, them and New England, I don't think either one's all that great, but New England is a little bit better, I believe. Now I can get New England basically at pick plus 1.5. I like that there. Wouldn't be one of my top choices, but I do like it. Green Bay, Dallas. Pick a side. I'm good with it. You're telling me the Packers just have to get across the finish line? I don't think they'll lose 2 weeks in a row. But I also think this Green Bay Dallas game is one possession or less. I actually like Dallas. If a 7.5 pops up, I'll grab it. But now you're telling me I can get plus 14. Wait around. Maybe you get a plus 14.5. You find somebody to pair them with in the 4 o'clock window. Have good value there. The Bengals, we talked about it. I'm all over the Bengals this week. Broncos, I don't believe they should be laying 7.5. Now you're telling me I can get 14.5 in a 2-team 7-pointer. I'm in. My favorite side of a 2-team 7-pointer this week, the Houston Texans. They're at home. They have a great defense. They're playing the Tennessee Titans. Can we see Houston going 0-4? I can't see it, right? I can't see it, and I can't see the Titans beating them. Now, by no means, I think this is a sweat till the end. So this ain't going to be an easy winner, but let me tell you something. Been doing this a long time. There's not a lot of easy winners. But the Houston Texans are my favorite leg of a two-team 7-point teaser. Again, depending on where you shop, $1.30 to $1.50. And here's my other one. I told you, remember at the beginning of the show, your boy RJ told you, I said, listen, you don't want to go past the key, taking a favorite of 3 or more, flaming them through 0. I've did it like one other time that I can remember. This weekend's got to be the second time. Why? Because I think this team I'm about to say wins outright anyway. The fact that I get 3.5, I'd be loving life. I'm going to do a no-no. And again, this is something you can't do on the regular, right? Kids, don't try this at home. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams at -3.5 and move them to +3.5. The Rams win this game by at least a touchdown. The Colts are frauds, right? Miami, listen, get out of here. I don't even see it. Denver with the whole leverage thing, they shouldn't even have won that game. Tennessee, they haven't played anybody. You're telling me I can get the Rams, who I still think is the best team in the NFC. I get the block kick and all that, and they really left Philly back in that game. That whole thing was a disaster. I can get the Rams +3.5. My best bet, 7-point teaser, Rams +3.5, Texans pick. If you don't make another bet Sunday, bet that one. So let's run down through my 7-pointers. I like teams that have legs that you can use. Bears +8.5, Bucks +10.5, Chargers pick or Giants +13, only because of the way the money is. I wouldn't mind taking the Giants in some of that. Pats at pick +1. Cowboys, Packers, I think you can play that either way. I think the line is nice and tight. I think the 7 is a realistic line there and a great line. Bengals +14.5. Again, we had them in our 3-team 10-pointer. Love the Bengals +14.5. And again, my 2-team 7-point teaser of the week, the one I love the most, Houston Texans pick. LA Rams +3.5. That's my 2-team 7-pointer. My 3-team 10-pointer of the week, Lions pick, Bengals +17.5, Bucks +13.5. Again, breaktheboardsports.com. I'm your host, RJ Cash. Click that like, hit subscribe. Check out our content. Yes, you can go to Break the Board Sports. We got notes up that you can break down the NFL games yourself, help you with your handicapping. We do sell picks, $1.37 a day across all sports, blah, blah, blah. But the more important thing is this is designed to give you trends, to give you angles, to give you advice so you can bet your own games, have your own ideas. We're here to help you become a better handicapper. Again, RJ Cash, Break the Board Sports. Let's have a phenomenal Sunday. Play that 2-team 7-pointer. Texans pick, Rams +3.5. God bless. Happy handicap.